I always knew I wanted the parents in the last one.
Yep.
But I also really wanted to have other relationships as well. And if we had that happen, it was just not going to be able to be 20 minutes. If we were going to really do it justice to looking at relationships as a whole and life as a whole. True to sort of the name of all of it, a lot of what this story is this idea of the total highs and lows of life that all seem to arrive at the same moment, and how do you handle it? And particularly for Gary and Celeste, they are going through this toddler and dealing with parenthood and their relationship and all of these things.
After the big Hollywood ending that was in the middle of their relationship, they're not in a terrible place, but they don't realize quite how disconnected they are.
These are two people who have a really horrible time communicating, and that's kind of their thing. And that's like their little bit, you know? And so when something huge is thrown in, something real, something really heavy, when you have a problem communicating, it can make things spiral. And so with this movie, her mom, Sherry, is a cancer survivor and has been free of cancer for a while. And then unbeknownst to her family, finds out that it's back and it's everywhere. The story of this film starts with this approaching anniversary party for the two parents, and Sherry basically asking Gary to keep this news from everyone, and as she sort of implores him to help her with some things that she's having trouble with.
That lie drives the wedge between them deeper, and then it's hard for them to recover. It's a comedy. It really is a comedy.
It's a comedy.
The person who I'm most excited to add to this was the character of my father, because in both short films, we keep referencing this man and the emotional weight that my character seems to have with him, but it was always this kind of nebulous, fuzzy thing that we talked about it, but it didn't feel real. But as soon as I read this script, suddenly this person had lines and had a presence and I could see the ripple effect of what he brought. And everything I'd done prior thankfully still holds up, but like it all felt real now.
The role of his father, whose name is Alexander, has a very large presence and has a history with Gary of not getting along.
They don't really agree on how to do things. Yes.
Yeah.
But then that meant we needed to find someone who, like, when he walks in the room, gives you that intensity.
And we luckily fucking found him.
we found someone incredible who's been a character actor for 40 years doing exactly that in Mark Ralston.
We nerded out quite a bit. He's been in so many things and he does such amazing work. We were talking about other people, but I think he was the first person that we sent the script to, and we were like, we were all in immediately, and then luckily so is he. Sherry, the mom's character, this is somebody who's kind of the heart of the family and has kind of, especially with Gary and Alexander's very complicated relationship, has really sort of kept everybody together and pleasant. They have very different relationships. So Celeste, my character, is very close with her mom. There's a very Gilmore Girls vibe going on where they are just like best friends. And so that juxtaposition to Gary and his father has always been sort of in the background, but it's never been there because they've never been involved. So she's now coming to this realization that when I go, what is this family going to do and become? Both the role of the mom and the father we found essentially through you, through people that you knew.
Well, that's true. We got Mark's interest fairly early by comparison, and then we've been going through pre-production and trying to figure out how we're going to do this whole thing. Throughout all of this pre-production process, our cinematographer, Will, has been sending me clips of what he's done as kind of reference points for us kind of talking about how do you want to shoot this thing. And I kept seeing this actress crop up over and over and over in his footage. And then at some point I just realized, oh, wait a minute. A, she's amazing. B, she looks a little bit like she could be Catherine's mom. So I kind of sent some of the clips her way and was like, well, what if we talked to her? Like, she already likes working with Will. Maybe she'll deign to work with us too.
Yeah. I remember getting that text and seeing her name and Suzanne Savoy. Okay, I was like, it's a great name, but you know. So I watched her reel and within about 5 seconds I was like, yep. She also has a daughter she's extremely close with. It seemed almost too good to be true.
I mean, we were frankly terrified that she wouldn't want to play it. She's had cancer, right? So a lot of the really deep medical issues in your script are her life.
Yeah,
You know?
we did. We were wondering. And so we had the Zoom call meeting with her, and it was, I don't know, 10 seconds in, and I was like, I am looking at my mom. There's also friendship dynamics and work dynamics in this as well. There are other new characters that are really fun. Gary's business partner, who is mentioned in our second short film, but we never see, Adam, he is Gary's best friend, and Adam's husband, Mike, is Celeste's best friend.
It's nice that, so if Gary and Celeste are not able to communicate, in parallel, there's another couple that is better at communicating than Gary and Celeste are.
They're wonderful. And they have this, honestly, this really lovely marriage and this really lovely relationship.
Until Gary involves them in this lie, and then that kind of messes
Yes.
with their stuff a little bit.
When the pandemic was happening, there were, for artists, a lot of Zoom productions going on. And I saw this show. My husband was in it, and I was watching it, and obviously my husband did a wonderful job, but I'm watching it, and there's this guy, and he is so amazing. Even on Zoom, I could not watch him. He made me laugh, and he was so genuine, and he was so interesting and awesome. And this is Von Zell. And because I had seen him and my husband have amazing chemistry before in this Romeo and Juliet Choose Your Own Adventure, I just thought, well, I think I know. And we did this Zoom read where I sort of secretly cast them to just read it on purpose.
And that was my first time
That was kind of their audition for you.
Well, that was my first time meeting Von Zell and having him play my best friend, and I
Yeah.
fell in love with him over Zoom.
So it's like a Zoom fall in love with Von Zell thing.
The character of Mike is in part 2, and Adam is mentioned in part 3. And what made you decide to bring them together?
There were two separate things. The first was, yes, I just thought it would be this sweet sort of thing that essentially Mike was introduced to Adam through Gary and Celeste, and so they met through them, and then their relationship took off and been budding, and it's beautiful ever since. But also, I have friends who are queer. I actually just came out as queer literally 2 years ago, but that was really why it was important to me that Adam and Mike are in this movie and that they're married. I really wanted it to be just two people in love having a relationship. To me, it was really important that, you know, they were going to be the ones that were the dream couple. They were the ones that had the genuine communication and the genuine sort of relationship goals. I wanted them to have their own fleshed out lives. I wanted them to feel like real people and not just people who are there to support the main characters. So they also have their own arc and thing to resolve on their own that is separate even from the main storyline. And that was really important to me too.
I appreciate that we are able to therefore tell the stories of these 3 different couples who are in different places, phases of their relationship, and also kind of represent these different things that Gary and Celeste can and can't do very well. They try very hard.